Hello. In today's video we're going to be working with rules again. And one of the nice things about rules that's touted by Oracle is that you can have business people update the rules. And in one of my previous videos I explained or demonstrated how you could actually break the decision table by simply going into the bucket set and making a change to one of the values in here. Let's change this to 0.8. And the dire consequences of having that happen. You can see now that I have to rewrite this entire thing practically to make sure that it works as it was, even though it was a minor change. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, what about Workspace? Because that's where a typical user would go in. So I went out to Workspace and I took a picture of it prior to any changes so that we could just make sure that we had the same setup once they made a change. And we can see now that the rule set is the same. Let me go over here a little ways. And now, however, if we go into the bucket set and edit, and take this value and then head back to the rule set, you can see now that nothing is broken. Now I have changed some of these things, and in fact it does create some differences, but that's probably where the logic changed so frequently or so much that it caused the decision table to break. And you have to be careful. In fact, the more I look at this, the less I would want to have anybody changing these values who doesn't know what they're doing. And seriously, probably even a business person could even break the bucket set. I'm sorry, break the decision table just by changing the logic here. Let's go back in here again and make a different change and see how that affects it. And this time I want to make a change to the, let's change all three. I'm going to change this to, let's say I'm going to change this to 3. I'm going to change this to 1.1. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to break the table. And then let's change this to 4. It would be helpful to have a 0. Hold on. 0.1. Okay. And we'll see if this breaks the table. Now, thank goodness for this revert button. Now you can see here that it's entirely broken. So this is something that you would definitely want to be careful of, and you can see that there's conflicts. So you have to limit what users can do in order to make it correct, and probably just changing one value at a time, or doing it within JDeveloper and then making the change. Now actually though, when you consider how it works in JDeveloper, you don't want to be breaking this all the time. So what you would in fact do is, let's go to a different approval rule that I have. You would put it into globals. Now here you can see that I have the globals for all of these things. And now if I just change the global, let's change this to the value being 0.05. Let's change this. I'm going to change this to 0.10. And I still think that this might break the the logic a bit in the decision table, but we'll see. 0.20. Yeah, looks pretty good, doesn't it? So I would recommend this. Now, the fact that I've placed it into globals, still, if you don't put the right value in, or you forget to put a decimal point in here, you're still going to have logic issues that could really break the table. In fact, let's just change that, and you can see now that I've suddenly got serious issues. So if we change that back, now I don't have that worry. But this is the way so that you can either make the changes in Workspace and or in JDeveloper and make sure that they work properly. Now the other thing that's very interesting is that you can sync these things. Now right now I've made the change in JDeveloper, okay? And this is actually in my sales quote. The other one we were working with was a BPM Uni application that I've developed. This one's in what's called sales quote. And I have made the changes here, but I might want to have them, if I make them here, I have to deploy it again. So I could go out to Workspace and close this project and go to my runtime, and here you can see that I have the two. And if I make the change here, actually I need to go to globals, you can see that my globals are all set. Edit them, let's change this to now I am still somewhat leery about changing it to something that would be less than this, because it could introduce a break into the table. This one I'm going to change to 3.5, and this one I'm going to change to 1.0. And we'll go over to the rule set, approval matrix, and it looks good. Okay. And if we compare it to JDeveloper, this one was a conflict, but it was overridden, and that's exactly what we see here. So this is how you would use the workspace. Now there is one thing here, is that what you want to do, since I've made the changes in the runtime process, here you have a governance issue, because when you start to do work on perhaps a change or something like that, you would want to import the rule from the runtime production version and refresh all of these values, including the globals. Okay. You would also want to refresh, let's see, close the project, and come up to here and refresh the version of that's in BPM Composer, as opposed, this is the dev environment, it's not the runtime environment, and refresh this. So you have to make sure that the refreshment is done properly. Now I'm going to make a small change here because I want to show another aspect of this. I am editing the project here. I'm trying to open this. I'm going to make these changes and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so this is what I've done. I made a change in the development environment business process composer, and I changed this D high to 80.8. Over in JDeveloper, I pulled in the value of I refreshed the rule set so that it matches exactly what production has. And this value here is 0.7. Okay. If we come over here, you can see that the sales quote is not locked. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to save to MDS, because my BPM Studio slash JDeveloper version and production version are the same, but the MDS version, the dev MDS version, is different. And I am going to say yes, and this is what happens. Changes have been performed in the Business Composer to the development environment. I made changes in the JDeveloper development, and so there's a mismatch. Unfortunately, this is not like Subversion, which has the capabilities of uh, merging the conflicts, where you can actually come in and see which conflicts are which. So you really have to be careful about the governance, change management, changes in prod, changes in BPM Studio or JDeveloper, and changes in the Business Composer development environment. Because any changes here and there or mixing will result in issues like this. And the only way I've been able to resolve it is to come out here, close this project, actually let's try one other thing, given that it was still saved. I thought I'd saved it, but apparently not. I'm going to stop this for a second. Okay, here we are. So let's try the refresh of the MDS again. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, it didn't. Okay, so you can see now that the versions are outdated. Update the most recent project version first. Well, how do you do that? Because this version is what production has, and as far as I'm concerned, the version that's here may have changes to it, but I don't know which changes are done. Actually, I do, but in normal circumstances, you wouldn't know what had been changed here. So you really do have to be careful about the versioning of this. Now, the only way that I know to fix this problem is to come out here and delete this, and then save to MDS again. So there are issues, and now you can see that when I come back out here, it's back out there now. I hope this was helpful. Have a good day.